Hello, my name is Dean Atomic and I'm the creator of the Samurai Saga card game. So please join me to the table and let's learn how to play the game. In front of us here we have the Samurai Saga booster packs, and each of them contains 15 cards, and those 15 cards are a mix of minions, spells and curses, and there is a random card. It's either an action card, a legendary card, or another type of surprise. And then we also have the description card, which notes which cards are in the pack, because every single card is marked in each of the packs, making all the cards unique. When you're taking the booster packs, you need to have at least a minimum of 3 booster packs to create a deck. So let's just say I'm going to grab this booster pack, and this booster pack, and these booster packs are going to be my deck. The rest we'll remove from now. Pull one way and then you pull the other way, and you can just take out the cards. Our game is designed so that if you pick 3 random booster packs, you shuffle them together, they're ready to play as a deck against any other deck of a person who has done exactly the same thing. We have done all the calculations and all the randomizations, so there's a fair chance that both decks are very similar in strength. Obviously, there's going to be a variation of cards and mixes, making some decks better than others. But then what you need to do is craft a deck, but this is just a beginner guide of how to start off your journey as a Samurai Saga card player. So open 3 booster packs, shuffle them up, and you're ready to go. When I say shuffle them up, you have to remove the extra card, which would be in this case an extra action card. We'll set that aside, and we'll also set aside the description card, which is in each deck. Just bear in mind, I'm showing the game currently with the test booster packs, so these are not the finished artwork and these are not the finished cards. This is just to showcase how the game works. Once you have removed the extra cards from each booster pack, they're ready to be shuffled and ready to be played. So you take all 3 booster packs cards, you shuffle them up, and the deck is ready to be played. Your opponent does the same thing, and you're ready to begin your match. Before you start any game, each player needs to have 6 action cards. Here are 2 versions of each of the cards, one for me and one for my opponent. Each time you play this game, the order of the action cards is randomized, thus making the beginning of each game a slightly unique experience. Once one player has shuffled them and placed them randomly on the table, your opponent is supposed to take the same action cards he has on his hand and mirror what you have done. So we have the curse action card first, which will go here. Then we have the upgrade card. Then we have the attack card, the draw card, the attack card, defense card, and the play card. Once the opponent has mirrored what you have done, then the game is ready to start. This game is played in rounds. One round contains 4 turns. That means that you, as a player, will take 2 turns and your opponent will take 2 turns. On how you determine who will go first in each round, it's dependent on the cards you pick in front of you. The action cards are determining what you're going to do on your turn and what your opponent is going to do on their turns. You need to plan 2 turns ahead to finish up a round. The way you plan them is you basically push out the action card which you want to use. The small difference here is that you need to play 2 turns in advance. That means you need to push 2 cards outwards to showcase which action cards you're going to take this round. Your opponent will do the same. While picking the action cards, you both stop for a second, you think a little bit. When both players are ready, on the count of 1, 2, 3, you push out 2 action cards which you desire to use. So in my case, I have pushed these 2, and simultaneously your opponent might have pushed these 2 outwards. The card that you have pushed furthest out determines your first turn, and the second card you have pushed out determines your second turn in the same round. The same goes for your opponent. When looking at your action cards, just imagine there's a number from 1 to 6 on the placement of the action cards. 1 being the lowest and going upwards to 6. So this is on position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The higher the action card is on these positions, the stronger the card becomes. On the setup of the game, each player starts with their draw pile, their life total, and their action cards. The draw pile is placed next to the deck, leaving space for a discard pile. That pile is a pile that all the cards that are used up is going to go to. Your life total, each player starts with 30 life on each game. You have your 6 action cards. Before starting the game, you look at the position of your draw action card. This card tells you how many cards you're starting with in your opening hand. The position of this card is rank 2, that means I'm starting with 2 cards. The same goes for my opponent, he also draws 2 cards to begin the game with. Let's say that this card has been shuffled and placed randomly on rank 6, meaning that at the beginning of this game, since it's on rank 6, I may draw 6 cards to start a game with. Now let's say the cards I have drawn, they're not really what I wanted. You may choose to redraw new cards by taking this draw card and putting it 1 rank lower, taking the 6 cards you have drawn from earlier, put the cards back on the deck, shuffle them up, and draw 5 new cards, since the position of your draw action card is now on rank number 5. And let's say, as example, I'm still not satisfied with these cards. I may scooch it 1 more rank down, shuffle these 5 cards back into the deck, and then draw 4 new cards. And you may do so until you reach rank 1, and in that case you would have drawn just 1 card to begin this game with. So there, if you are searching for a certain combo or a certain starter card, you might consider doing so. But in our case for this game, we have started with the draw action card on position number 2, meaning each player just draws 2 cards, and I'm choosing to keep them. If you choose to activate this card on your round, so this might be one of the cards you activate, and this might be the second one, meaning when your turn comes, you are allowed to attack with minions that you potentially have on the battlefield. So I'm going to illustrate some scenarios here. Let's just pretend we have played for a little while, and I have managed to play out 3 minions on the battlefield, and I choose to activate the attack card. When activating the attack card, you may attack with the same amount of minions as the placement of the rank of this card. Rank meaning from 1 to 6. Currently, this action card is on rank number 1. That means I may attack only with 1 minion, although I have 3 minions on the battlefield. So the amount of minions you can attack with that is on the battlefield is determined by activating this action card and the placement of this action card. So for example, if I would have started my same turn and I would have activated the attack card on the 3rd rank position, then I could have attacked with up to 3 minions. Even though I activated here, that does not say I must attack with minions at all. It just gives me an option to attack with up to 3 minions. Same thing here, if I activate it here, I may attack with 1 minion or none at all. Let's go back to the example where if this was on rank 3, I could have attacked with 3 minions. Currently, my opponent does not have any blockers, so on my turn, if I choose to attack with 3 minions, I would declare that I attack with this, and this minion. Right now, the opponent does not have anything he can counter with, he does not have any blockers, so all the damage from each minion will go directly to the opponent. Meaning 5 plus 4 plus 2 is 11 damage, and the opponent loses 11 damage from their life total. Once the attack has resolved, the action card goes back to rank 1, making the other cards stronger because they go up in rank. Currently on my hand I have 7 cards, and I have chosen to activate my play action card, and when my turn comes, I can play up to 3 cards because it's on rank 3. It's on 3rd spot from 1 to 6, meaning I can play up to 3 cards from my hand. After you have resolved the play card, it goes back to the first rank, making again the other action cards stronger. Now we have the hand size and the defend action card. This is a passive card, meaning if you activate it, it does not really do much, except that it goes on the first rank and makes again all the other action cards stronger. Otherwise, this card is passive, meaning that, as example, let's say I have 2 minions on my battlefield, and my opponent has, let's say, also 2 minions on the battlefield. This scenario, the opponent has activated their action card, which says that he's going to attack with up to 2 minions, and he currently has 2 minions to attack with. I do not have to plan ahead and activate my defense card because this card is passive. So if I choose to block after the opponent has declared to attack with up to 2 minions, he chooses these 2 minions to attack me, I may choose to block. Let's say I choose to block with one of my minions against this minion and the second minion against the second minion. So these are the blockers. After the blocking has resolved, my minion here would die and my minion here would also die. So I would have lost both minions. And since I have blocked with 2 minions, that means that my defense card and hand size card goes down 2 ranks. It goes down 1 rank per minion I have chosen to block with after the battle has resolved. Let's give a similar scenario here. Let's say that my defense card is on rank number 1, and the scenario is still the same, where my opponent is attacking me with up to 2 minions. Since my defense card is on rank 1, I may only block with 1 minion, meaning I have to choose which one I'm going to block with. So maybe I'm going to say that this minion blocks this minion, and this one can't do anything because I do not have enough requirements to use multiple blockers. The same would go if I would have 10 minions on my battlefield and my defense card is still on ranked 1. I would not be able to block any more than with 1 minion. So you have to be careful that this card goes higher up if your opponent has a lot of attackers and they chose to attack you. This action card has 2 effects though. One effect is to declare the blockers. The other effect is to tell you what your hand size limit is. The position of this card indicates how many cards you can have on your hand until the end of the round. Let's say that I have currently 5 cards on my hand, and this action, after it resolves, it was the very last action of the whole round. That means the round is over, and we have to look at the position of our defense / hand size card. If it's on rank 1, it means that I can only have 1 card on my hand at the end of the round. So I would have to discard up to 4 cards from my hand, putting it into the discard pile. If this card at the end of the round would have been a higher rank, let's say rank 6, then this card would indicate that I could have up to 6 cards on my hand, which would be fine because I have only 5 here. So I would not have to discard anything at the end of the round. Blocking, you have to either sacrifice your hand size or sacrifice your life if you choose not to block. The next action card we're looking at is the requirement action card. When this action card is played, it does absolutely nothing except if it's on rank 6. If you play it on any other rank, it just goes back to the first rank and nothing really happens. If you have it on rank 6 and only on rank 6 and you activate it, it goes back to rank 1, but then it can upgrade any other action card from the action cards that have not been upgraded yet. Each of the action card is double-sided. It has a golden version on the other side, and there's a X2 on the back of the card as well, showcasing that this is an upgraded version of the same card. You may choose to upgrade any of the action cards after the requirement card has been activated on rank 6 and only on rank 6. This action card may also upgrade itself. An upgraded version of the rank action card allows you to, when it is on rank 6 again and you activate it, it goes back to rank 1. You may upgrade up to 2 other action cards in front of you that have not been upgraded yet. So it doubles the upgrade ability when it's activated on rank 6. This card though has another function as well. Since it's called the rank action card, if we look at the minions on the battlefield, like this minion, it has a number in the middle of the card. That number is a requirement cost, meaning that to play this minion, this card has to be at least on rank 2. So if this card is here and I have activated my play action card, which dictates that I can play up to 3 cards from my hand, I would have to look at the requirement cost of the cards in my hand. So currently this card costs 2 rank, or requirement is 2 rank to be played. This one is 3, this one is 6. Curses do not have requirement costs, and this one is 4 and this one is 3. And since my requirement position of my requirement card is currently on rank 2, the only cards I could play is this card and this card from my hand, because again, curses do not have a requirement number on them. But let's say that the requirement card was all the way up to rank 5 and I have chosen to play cards from my hand. I may play 2 cards from my hand, but in this case I could play any of the cards from my hand because the requirement is at maximum, which is 6. Also note, if you have upgraded the requirement card, it does not double the requirements of the cards. So it means if this card is on rank 6 and it's upgraded already, it does not give you up to 12 requirements to play cards, because the maximum amount of requirements on each of the cards is 6. So meaning that even though it's upgraded, it still gives 6 requirement if it's on the 6th position, or 5 requirement if it's on the 5th position. Also note that the position of this card does not change after you play cards, because when you have activated the play action card, you may play now, in this case, 2 cards. So let's say I'm gonna play this card and this card from my hand. The requirement action card does not move, because the reason we were able to play the cards is because we activated the play action card. After the turn is over, the play action card goes back there, and the requirement card stays exactly where it was. When I mentioned that the requirement action card can upgrade any other action card, basically what it does, it makes the other action cards stronger. So you have the play action card. If it's upgraded to rank 2 and you want to play cards, let's say I'm activating it here, it just basically tells you that you may play the double amount of cards per position of the rank this card is in. So if it's on rank 1, normally, if it's not upgraded, I could have played 1 card from my hand, like this. If this action card is upgraded, then I can play up to 2 cards from my hand, since it's doubled. Meaning, if this card is upgraded and it's on rank 4 and it's activated, I can play up to 8 cards from my hand, because it's doubling the rank. Same thing goes if it's on rank 6, it doubles the amount of cards. In this case, I could play 12 cards from my hand if I had that many cards. Now let's look at the upgraded draw action card. If this card would be normally on rank 2, you would be drawing 2 cards on that turn. If this card would have been upgraded, it would just say that you could draw up to double amount of cards than normally. So if it's on rank 2, you could draw up to 4 cards if you wish so. Same thing goes for each rank, it doubles the number of cards you can draw. So if it's on rank 6 and it's activated, you can draw up to 12 cards from your deck. Now let's look at the attack action card. Normally, if it's on rank 2, you can attack with up to 2 minions. If it's upgraded, it allows you to attack with twice as many minions per position of the rank. So if this card is on position number 2, then you're allowed to attack with twice as many minions, meaning up to 4 minions. Again, if it's on rank 6, then you can attack with up to 12 minions in total, if you would have so many. The passive defense and hand size action card normally indicates how many cards you can have in hand and how many minions you can block with per position of the rank. So in our case right now, it will be 1 minion to block with and 1 minion on the hand. If it's the upgraded version of the card, then it just doubles per rank. Now in this case, I could have 2 cards on my hand at the end of the round, and I could block with 2 minions. Now let's say that this card is on rank 6. It can block, then I can block with up to 12 minions if I would have that many, and I could have up to 12 cards on my hand. And lastly, let's look at the curse action card. This is the only action card that does not really do anything when you activate it, except that it goes back in rank. But what this card does, it makes your opponent's curse cards stronger against you. So this, compared to the other action cards in front of you, this card is playing against you. Your opponent is using this card, so their curses are stronger against you. So meaning, as long as you try to keep the curse card as low as possible, the opponent's curse cards in hand are going to be weaker. Here are some examples of the curse cards. They look like this. There's a text, there's a rarity, and there is no requirement, because they may be played at any time depending on when a player has activated their play card. So if I've activated this and it's on rank 3, I may play 3 cards, and I may choose to play 3 cards, 3 curses, ignoring the curse requirement. If you upgrade this card to level 2, then when the player would play curse action cards, they would be limited on how many curses they can play against you in a round. The total limitation goes from no limit at all when it's not upgraded to only 1 curse card per round. So you're limiting the amount of curses that can be played against you per any given round. So if it's level 2, 1 curse can be played from your opponent in a round. If it's not upgraded, then they may play as many curses as they wish, depending on the position on their play action card. So keeping the curse as low as possible makes your opponent's curse cards weaker. But it could be a dilemma, because sometimes you want to use other cards, and while using other cards, let's say I've used draw and play card, that means that naturally my curse action card will go higher and higher. And sometimes you want to try to maybe rush the opponent or have different scenarios, and then you might be a little bit sloppy and let the curse card go way too high up, but then you give advantage to your opponent. So it's kind of like a small tug of war in your own requirement zone on where this card should be. Obviously your opponent might not have any curses on their hand, and you might know that, and you might just leave it on rank 6, because then it does really nothing against you. Otherwise your opponent might have like 8 curses on their hand and choose to play all of them, and that might even win them the game if they were lucky to gather that many and you allowed the curse to be on rank 6. So be careful on the position of the curse card. Now let's go through some of the cards you may find in your deck and talk a little bit about what you can see on each of the cards. Firstly, you will see the name of the card, which is on the top of each of the cards. You will see right underneath that a small symbol of the first expansion, which is the Cyborg Samurai expansion. You will see that there we have a white version, a golden version, and like a reddish orange version. This indicates that this card is common, this card is uncommon, and this card is rare. So it's just a rarity of each of the cards. Then on the top left corner you would have the attack symbols, which in this case would be 0 on both of these cards, and then you have 12 attack on this card. And on the top right you will have the defense number of each of the cards, so 2, 10, and 4. Looking further down on each card, let's take the common one first. So now if we look at the middle of the card, we will see the requirement cost of the cards. They are different depending on each card. In this case, requirement cost is 6, so we have to look at our requirement card and look at the position of it. Currently it's on position number 3, so we would not be able to play this card if we have activated our play action card. So we would have to have the requirement at least on rank 6 to be able to play this card. But we would be able to play these two cards since the requirement is 1 and 3, and our current requirement placement is on rank 3. So if we activated the play action card and we have the requirement on the 3rd spot, that means that we would be able to play both this and this card since requirements are met. You might notice that next to the requirement, some cards would have an extra symbol or two, and these symbols we're going to cover in the next video because there's a lot to cover. So we're going to go in depth what each of the symbols does on each card. If you look a little bit further down on the card, you will see that each card has a text. This text is the ability of the card, and each of them has a different requirement to meet to be activated. So some cards might say that you have to play it, some cards would say that you have to destroy it, or some cards might just have a passive ability. Now let's look at the spells. Spells, like the minions, come in different rarities. The names are always the same. It says spell on each of them. Then you would have the rarity underneath. Then you would have the requirement cost in the middle of each card. Then some cards again might spawn with extra symbols, which we will cover later in the next video. And then you would have the text, which triggers depending on the situation they're played in. And lastly, we have curse cards. Underneath each of the names, which is the curse, we have the rarity once again. These ones, they do not have any requirements and they do not come with extra symbols. And the ability that's written underneath each of them is stronger normally, depending on the position of your opponent's curse card. So the higher it is, the stronger these cards become. So each of our action cards has many different designs. The symbol is the same because the action card does exactly the same thing. It's just the layout, the artwork, which is different. So it's for people who want to customize their action cards and maybe prefer a different look to them. They're also double-sided, and these you can get in booster packs because they're randomly put into booster packs. You may collect different variations. We have many different variations of each of the action cards, and many more will come in the future as well. And we have also legendary cards. You have a chance to get them in your booster pack. They have requirement cost of 1, but they have 10 attack and 10 defense, so they're a very powerful card, but they come with a big drawback. And lastly, we have relic cards. When you play relic cards, they stay on the battlefield until either they're removed from the battlefield or they're activated and then removed from the battlefield. And normally you remove them when their ability is resolved, and they normally trigger their abilities when the life total between you and your opponent has a big gap. And now we're one step closer in knowing how to play the Samurai Saga card game. If you want to have more information about the game, you can visit our website or you can check out the other videos we have for the game. So thank you for watching.